Are we live? Oh, okay, we are live.
We're good.
What up, America? Welcome to our episode 1 of InDifference with your boy Dylan
And Ike.
And we are coming at you live from the studio, the Whitworth.fm studio. Yeah, we are here. We are live. We are ready to start off our show. We hope that you guys had a good Thanksgiving break. Got to eat some turkey, stand in long lines for Black Friday and whatnot. Yeah.
So this show is called InDifference, where we just talk about a lot of social issues that are happening in the world, and most importantly, just here on campus, and kind of like what your fellow students have to say about like their experiences here at Whitworth and like kind of how that translates to the real world. And also, while doing that, we're also going to play some dope music for all you. So I think it'll be a pretty cool test run.
Pretty
show.
lit today.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, we're excited to be doing this every Monday at 8 p.m. this time.
Yes, and just so you guys are aware, we have actually the Whitworth.fm. They actually have a call-in number that you can call in. I know, we dug it out of the archives. It's true, America.
I don't know if this works, but
they do a call-in number. The number that you can call in anytime if you want to. We'll take callers. It's 509-777-3278. Call in with any requests, any questions. But yeah, like I said, we're going to be here 8 a.m. Not 8 a.m. No, not 8 a.m. We're going to be here at 8 p.m. Sorry, 8 p.m. every Monday. And it'll look, different every time. We're finalizing dates for our actual uploading of our podcasts.
Yeah.
In each one of the specific topics we're going to be going through. So we have like a pretty good list that Ike and I have collaborated on. The first one today is just an introduction. So we're just introducing you to like what the show is going to be like, what we're going to talk about throughout this semester. We recognize that this is like the end of the semester, so
the show will carry on until next semester. So
yeah, it won't be the end of Ike and Dill. We are coming back. We're gonna disrupt your hour every Monday night. But we do a nice, we do a nice, I think, job of regulating like music to conversation. Mm-hmm. The mastermind behind the music will be the great man sitting next to me, Ike.
Yeah,
so.
I'll try my best to have some dope stuff, especially stuff that Whitworth doesn't play a lot. So we'll get a diverse sound going on here. Because I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I'm gonna while we're gonna pick a song to play here just to get us started. But before we do that, I have our episode calendar. The dates aren't finalized. They're all subject to change. I don't think we even have dates for them yet. But here's what you can look forward to if you stay tuned with the InDifference radio show. The first thing is the introduction that's happening today, if you didn't know. The second thing is we're going to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and more specifically, like funding on campus. Like, where is it going? What's happening? That'll be our next podcast date, which we will determine. And we're going to be putting out these cool advertisements that have the dates and the specific topics. And our logo.
We're unveiling our logo, we promise. Then we'll be going into subtle discrimination, and we'll have a guest on that show. I don't know if you know. I asked a student who was interested in this one to come.
Okay.
His name's Sabuso.
Oh, yeah.
If any of y'all know him, he's incredible.
Hey, he's the homie.
Sabuso will be coming in and helping us tackle that issue. The next one is stereotyping in media. Ike, do you want to give a brief summary of what you think conversation will be.
Basically, it'll basically just be about how the media just uses these common narratives that you hear time and time again from like when you're a kid to like now, just like basically the same things that you hear about like a certain group of people, whether it be by like race, ethnicity, identity, gender, stuff like that.
Yeah. The next topic is being a woman of color, and obviously Ike and I can't speak directly into that as much as we want to.
Yeah. There's only so much we can tackle about that, which is like not a lot. So
yes. So we're going to be having a couple of guests come that day, and they're going to be women of color. And so they'll have probably the freshest insight on that, and more real talk on that too. The next thing, which I'm super stoked about, is the mixed race dilemma, kind of talking about like what it means to be a student of mixed races, and kind of navigating those waters, like understanding how to be, for me specifically, like a Mexican and also an American, and which one do I lean more into? Do I need to lean more into both of them more? Will I ever fit into one category? And then we added another one, what it means to be like a good ally or a good friend to a student of color, a student of the majority or the minority, and what it means to be just a good friend and knowing the right questions to ask.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and then we'll also do an episode where we just do call-ins and questions, which that's also open every episode we do.
Yeah,
we'll always do that.
Also, the plan I think is after like all the episodes we talked about, there will probably be more topics to tackle, or if y'all think we should tackle a different topic, y'all can call in at that number too and just help us out to come up with like new fresh topics that you all want us to, I guess, talk about.
Yeah. And another thing too, like this show, Ike and I both agreed like it's just going to be real talk and good music, because hey, music unites people, and we think that that's like the best mode of doing this sort of stuff, and hopefully we gain some sort of listener following.
That would be dope. Because for me, like the more authentic someone is, the more I kind of I guess respect more what they have to say, because I know they're not like everyone else, and I know they're like not going to sugarcoat stuff, and especially in today's world, it's important not to sugarcoat things, because there's real things that are happening in people's lives every day that we kind of want to like, you know, not tackle or discuss to the extent that we should. And so yeah, this show is going to be about that, and kind of like, yeah, we're going to have some good things to say, and I don't know, maybe you won't like it, but hey, it's a learning opportunity. So
yeah, so without further ado, like Ike and I said, welcome to our show. We hope you stick around. If you're doing homework, we are with you in that. And yeah, Ike's going to get us started with our first song. Ike, you want to give a little brief intro?
Yeah, I got you. So this song is called Facts by Lecrae, and it's basically I don't know, just about how there's like lies in this world that are told, and the truth kind of, you know, is what we need to hear. So hey, so that was Facts by Lecrae. I hope y'all were feeling that song. I don't know, I just really like that song because like it just talks about a lot of stuff, and I guess the thing that I kind of took away from that song was just the whole part where he talks about how the ultra perm and soft lips, and just like the stereotypical image of Jesus that we all see in our media. We all know that Jesus wasn't white, but like why is it that whatever we see Jesus, he's just white, you know, like where's his melanin, you know? Like seriously, like come on. Like if you're gonna be Christian and rep the Bible, you should be accurate to the origins of the faith. I like that song for many reasons, but that's probably just the one that hits home with me. So yeah,
I feel like that called out some things too, but like, yo, there's a line in there that he says Jesus wasn't a conservative, and it's just like, dang, okay.
Yep. Also, I guess another thing is in that song, he is unashamed to be black, and he says that. quite a bit in the song, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like in different spaces in our world, it's a white dominated world, and a lot of people want you to kind of conform to that image of, you know, whiteness. There's a lot of people of color who kind of have to conform to that in order to get a job. You kind of have to like put a mask on or kill a part of yourself in order to get the benefits that our world kind of, you know, places on more like white things. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Understand to be who you are.
Yes. Also, if you just tuned in, welcome again. This is InDifference with Dill and
Ike.
And we are live in the Whitworth.fm studio. And like we said before, this show, I think for both Ike and I it's just honestly a time to like talk about the things that matter to us. And like do it in a way that's more like fun. You listen to music, we talk. But we're not going to shy away from things. So if you're here and you're listening in and you're like, I wonder if they're going to talk about that. Like we might talk about some stuff that might make you feel kind of uncomfortable. We're not doing it out of a malicious place. We just are telling a different side of history than you're probably used to. So, Ike, we both, I think, share a meaningful, or have had meaningful experiences, but also like at Whitworth at times. Mm-hmm. There's moments where we feel as though who we are, like there's just a part of us that isn't fully quite realized, you know?
Yeah.
And so both of us have kind of like a personal connection to this show. And Ike is going to talk about his personal connection to why we decided to do this show. And then I'll share a little bit about mine.
Yeah. So the song Facts by Lecrae kind of, I guess, gives you a hint to why I am pretty passionate about stuff like this and this show. Just being a person of color, you have to put a mask on in order to kind of get around in the world and to get by each and every day, you know. Which is why, you know, our opening song is actually Mask Off by Future. Kind of chose that with that in mind. And you just have to basically put a mask on every time you like interact with people, especially people from majority culture, and especially at historically white schools such as Whitworth. Yeah, like just in order to get by, or like not to stand out for the wrong reasons, to get a good grade, you know, and not to stand out in front of people and make them either shy away from you or fear you or confirm every incorrect or correct stereotype that people may have about you, because implicit biases are a thing, which is what we're going to talk about in this show too. I don't know, just coming here to Whitworth, I don't know, like I knew what to expect, but then once you're actually in a place like this, which is like in a place which is all white, you kind of have to like, put the mask on and kind of just deal with it, you know, because no matter how empathetic people are, unless they've been through like the same things as you, if they're raised the same way as you, if they look the same way as you, they're not truly going to get it. And I felt like I had to kind of like navigate my way here. I just had to be careful about how I talked to certain people, how I acted. I had to filter myself in a lot of different ways.
I resonate a lot too with some of the stuff that Ike said. Ike, tell us what you thought Whitworth was going to be like when you first came, before you came, and then like what your experience has kind of been like for you as a student.
Yeah. Okay, so those of you who don't know, Whitworth was actually my last choice. I wasn't even trying to be in the state. I wanted to get out of state. So yeah, there's that context you should know. And there's just a lot of things happening, which I want to talk about in terms of like my senior year of high school, just getting ready for college and stuff. But anyway, this place accepted me, and I was like, cool. Like I got into a school. I was pretty hyped about that. And then I asked myself internally, like, wait, this place is in Spokane, right? And I was like, Eastern Washington, Spokane. The words white just kind of like flashed in my mind, and that kind of just ran to my computer, searched in like the demographics of Spokane. And I think at that time back in 2013, it was 90% white.
It was larger.
Like,
yes.
Okay, it was probably more than that. And I was like, are you serious? I'm from Tacoma, Washington, where it's pretty diverse, and so I'm just used to a lot of diversity. But then within that, I know how to operate within white circles. Since back in high school, I would take all the AP classes, you know, and yeah, I just happened to be the only black guy in most of those classes. And so I kind of knew how to act in white circles already, but I wanted to visually see like, like different kinds of people, seeing more like different kinds of people is really cool to see. And I don't know, I think that's the way the world should be. But anyway, I came here expecting it to be super white. I was like, okay, well, maybe I can't talk about hip hop or anything, like that. I probably have to fake like in, I don't know, Ultimate Frisbee or I don't know, youth groups, stuff like that. And I was like, well, whatever. I'm just here to get my education, get out. So anyway, I came here. I had a feeling that this was the place that God wanted me to be, and so that kind of made it, a little bit easier to kind of deal with it. I ended up actually liking a lot of it until like, I don't know, there's just some stuff that you notice, especially as a person of color, about how people treat you, like just like certain like looks that you get, like micro expressions or just full on like weird body language towards you, it's like you don't fit in, even though people's words and actions suggest to you that you do, but in reality you know within like yourself that you don't fit in, like really. And most people kind of know that too, or if they don't know, they kind of try to, I guess, whiteify you. Like, I'm not sure if that's even a word or anything, but like they kind of overlook what you look like, and I guess assume that you'll fall into whatever, I guess spaces that they fall into as well. And I kind of realized that from like the get-go. And even though I had a lot of friends and stuff, like I definitely kept that all internally. And like I just remember just like nights sitting in like in Warren or whatever, pissed off about this school and how little like representation of black people here on campus, different ethnicities too, and like just like and kind of just how people like perceived me and like looked at me, and kind of how I didn't really fit in, and how it was evident that some people were kind of, I guess, liked more than you at first glance, So
yeah, that's I think really powerful. I was just looking up randomly different like statistics on Spokane from the United States Census Bureau, and in 2016, this was last year, Spokane County had a 90% white population. So that I mean,
it's close about right. Yeah.
Not shocking.
Yeah.
And that's oh wait, no, sorry.
This is
89.5. Sorry. 89.5.
Let's round it. It's 90.
Yeah, we also we recognize that like we okay. I'm gonna start to talk now about like my experience, because I'm a halfie. That's what they call me apparently. I'm half Mexican, half American. Basically, more American though, because of the way I was raised. So
wait, but Dill, I'm American too. So when you say American, what are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say I'm trying to say that I can't get out of that one. Yeah, no. Here's the thing, and here's what I've learned is that as an American, my mom was fully Caucasian. We know that like using the term white is like there are people that are listening that might like take that and might think like, oh, they're talking about me, they must hate me. Please know we do not hate you. Like
yeah.
If unless you are consciously making these decisions, and like unless you are consciously being ignorant on purpose, like we know that ignorance for some people isn't recognized. So like part of our role too is to like call these things out in culture, and just name them. And we recognize like I'm half white. Like this stuff is from like literally my own family, my own lineage. And that's, I think like as a half Mexican, half American, I have learned to like navigate both those things. And we'll talk about this too later on in the mixed race dilemma episode. But these topics hit so close to home for me. I haven't experienced them. I'm going to be honest. I have not experienced them to the same degree that Ike has. And I think that he would agree. Because I look whiter. And that's another thing we'll talk about is like complexion, and just like what a privilege it is to have complexion. That that like I haven't had to deal with some of these things as nearly the same level that either Ike or other students on campus have had to like constantly day in and day out. So these issues are like these are like fragile issues, but they need to be also talked about in a way that like addresses them. So part of our solution to that issue is doing this talk show, making these conversations more real, giving good music to like kind of glue it all together. One thing I haven't been doing that I should have been doing this whole time is playing like some sort of background music.
Oh yeah, I thought we were gonna
or
do that.
some beats. We have plenty of beats, but if you know of different kinds of beats that we could play that are more like instrumental for these moments when we're talking, hit us up. We'd love to play them on the air. We also have, more songs with beats and more songs with actual lyrics that are meaningful to us. And I'm not gonna lie too, I can't swear on the air. I got to be careful about that. I have definitely had what I say, like, I don't have any experience at all with good music. So also this is educational for me. Like, I'm learning, from Ike, I'm learning from you guys. Like I said, we have a call-in number, by the way, if you guys aren't aware, 509-777-3278. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. We will have you on the air, literally. You will be speaking just like we are. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We still need to figure out how to do that right when we do get a call. So if you call and you're not on the air, give us grace.
Mm-hmm. It's a learning process for us too, in terms of like getting like the format for this down, and so
yeah.
bear with us, please.
Also really quick, I think Ike and I would agree, and you know what, we're gonna also not agree on the show, I'm sure, at times, and you know what, that's okay. Oh my, yeah. It's okay to disagree. I will just say though that we are not experts when it comes to this stuff.
Nope.
But I will say though that we have the experience. Ike has lived the experience. I have half lived the experience. And we're not experts on these topics that we're going to talk about. So please do not treat us like we're experts. But seriously, we are so excited to do the show with you guys. I'm receiving texts from people that are listening. Thank you. That means a lot. Even if you're not on this campus and you're listening, if you're in, I don't know, Nampa, Idaho or something like that. Even if, I don't know.
It's all love. We appreciate the support.
We appreciate all the support we can get. And we love you guys. Seriously. We want you to know that. But we aren't afraid to talk about tough things. Mm-hmm. And if at any point you're feeling like the things we're talking about are too tough, I could tell them what they should do.
You should probably just call us.
That is not what I was going to say. I'm glad you. This is why we have Ike. I am not that nice. Okay.
I mean, no, there's other stuff, that I don't know. It's just being nice is easier. It's not really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, still, you want to elaborate more on your experiences here?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot I could talk about. I'm going to be honest and say that, like, coming to Whitworth at first was kind of hard for me. I'm a first generation, mixed race student. I have different parts of my identity that, like, are honestly, like, conflicting at each other. It feels like, as a Mexican American, like, I came into Whitworth and I had to, like, it was almost like I had to strip part of myself away so that I could feel normal. And that's, I don't know, they have a name for that. There's a word for that. It's called, what is it? The switchboard or switch coding?
Code switching.
Code switching. Yeah. There you go. Okay. America, I'm about to teach you something so great. there is this thing called code switching. And one of my close friends, also Hannah Howe, introduced me to that a couple, weeks ago. Hannah Howe, if you're listening, you're awesome.
Shout out.
She's coming. She's going to be on our radio show. She's going to talk about mixed race people.
Hey.
And basically, code switching is when you switch a part of your identity off, basically, in order for another one to like be fully present. In other words, like, okay, let's say I walk into a room and I see a bunch of white people and like I want to be normal. I don't want to talk about like my cultural identity, but at the same time I do. But in that moment I don't. So I go up to that group of people and I say, "Oh, I love scones." I don't know what.
Or like
white people don't just like scones. I'm sorry.
I mean, I guess I don't know.
But you go in and basically code switching is you take a part of your identity, turn it off so that you can be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't ever dealt with this, think of it like when you were a kid in elementary school, and all the other cool kids, were doing something, and kids, who don't know who they are will like be the class clown or do something to fit in. It's kind of like that, except way more extreme and way more a part of your identity than you realize. So coming into Whitworth, that's kind of what I felt like. I code switched a lot, and I got to the point where I forgot who I really was. And it wasn't until one day, a good friend of mine, Sam Abbott, if you don't know Sam, get to know him. He's the RD on campus in Errand Hall. He asked me, like, "What does your last name mean?" And I was like, "My last name means I don't know." I had no idea because I actually forgot what my last name meant. And it was very humbling and very awkward. And, that's like one of those moments where I forgot, because I didn't talk about it at all. And that's kind of something for me that like is important. Like, people should feel comfortable talking about all of who they are. And on campus, it doesn't feel like that sometimes. Yeah. I have been honestly, yeah. And like I said, I love my whiteness. Please hear that. Me and as my whiteness, like, I love that.
I mean, it's part of who you are.
It's part of who I am. I have to,
Know thyself.
Know thyself. Yes. And, Whitworth was a place too that really emphasized my whiteness, but there weren't a lot of places or things to go to where I felt like the Mexican part of who I was being fully realized. So that is kind of my experience, and I see that, and I experienced that, and I'm still experiencing that in the classroom, outside of the classroom, in different places of study. Like even today, okay, if I'm being honest, I'll give you guys an example. Today, I'm not going to name the professor. I'm not that kind of person. But I basically, my theology professor, I was talking to him and I was like, "Yo, can I study liberation theology? I want to study this, Latin American person." And he was like, what's liberation theology? I was like, "Wait, hold on. You don't." Okay. That was humbling, by the way, when your own theology professor doesn't know what liberation theology is. And I had to be like, I had to argue that like liberation theology in Latin America, which is like very prevalent type of theology, like was a legitimate area of study. Like I had to argue that today. So anyway, things like that are just, much more subtle. Yeah, my solution, I don't have a solution to this issue besides sharing my story and sharing these things that I've experienced at Whitworth. And I hope to do that. And I hope to not be a complete jerk about it. And I hope you still listen, because these are good conversations and things that need to be talked about more. And yeah, there's more to that than what meets the eye. But yeah, we're gonna transition now to a good song.
All right. Next song coming at you is "Change" by J. Cole. And yeah, so here we go.
Welcome back to Indifference with Ike and Dill.
Mm-hmm. So, the song was called Change by J. Cole. Message of the song is pretty self-explanatory, but like a lot of times people try to look for like external sources in order for a change to happen in their life, like, you know, like money or like a new job or like that new relationship, you know, or I don't know, just like something else. But most of the time, change comes from within. And like when you make the commitment to change yourself, and you know, just look at the man in the mirror, to quote the great Michael Jackson. You know, once you really look at yourself, and you know, you look at the things that you need to work on, whether it's in your life, and if we can kind of do that all collectively, then we can kind of start to tackle these problems. You know, about like just like violence that, you know, just permeates the human condition, and you know, and why we're so messed up with each other. So in order to kind of, I guess, clean our garden, to use a Core 250 term, I know, right? We kind of got to look within and change ourselves, and whatever hate or, I don't know, whatever negative emotion we have within ourselves, and change that, and hopefully we get to a better place, you know?
Yeah, that's you know, those references. Core
I got an education here. I paid attention.
You know. Yeah, like Ike said, music is important, and that's going to be our biggest platform of how we're going to get our messages across of what we're trying to talk about. Welcome to Indifference with Ike and Dill. Like I said, feel free to call in at any time between 8 and 9. We'll go a little bit longer tonight if we need to.
Yeah.
The number for that call-in is 509-777-3278. We want one caller tonight. One caller. At least one.
Whoever's listening out there, please.
Whoever is listening, just call us, and we will call us at that number, 509-777-3278, and we'll get you on the show live.
Mm-hmm.
We want to take some time to talk about kind of like two things. One, our logo. That sounds so pithy. We want to talk about our logo. Look at us. No, we want to talk about why we chose it. I shared a graphic on Facebook, and it's, I mean, there's a couple things about it, I guess, that we can both talk about. But the first thing is we wanted to make sure that this show, I guess, captured like what we wanted to be about, and yet what we don't want to be about. So like, we did that, and we designed our Indifference logo, and it sorry, there's a fly in this room. We're trying to kill it. And there's a Indifference, the logo itself, the color for the word in is different than the color of the word difference, because we are recognizing that we, as different students, different types of students, are in it. Like, we're in the difference. However, people
are indifferent.
Yes. There are different types of people out there, but there are also indifferent people who, in indifference, if you look up the word in the dictionary, which I'm sure all of you Whitworth students are doing right now, sitting by the dictionary waiting to find out a word for us to throw at you so you can define it. It is just the act of not acting, or not moving to act.
Lack of interest, concern, or sympathy.
Yeah.
I would even put empathy there too, because sympathy and empathy are two different things.
Yeah. And who was it? Elie Wiesel, the author of the book Night, which if you haven't read, read it.
Read it. It's really good.
He quoted this beautiful thing about indifference and said that indifference. Actually, so wait, no, sorry, I'm already butchering this quote. He said that. Oh, you know what? This is bad. Public radio. I'm not even like remembering my quotes right. Hate is not the opposite of love. It's indifference. And that quote, I think, is so important. Because I think sometimes we think of like people that are belligerent and hateful is the opposite of people that love. Actually, the opposite of love is not doing anything at all. So that's why we consider this title so important. That's the first thing we wanted to talk about. Second thing we want to talk about is where we're at, our school. Mm-hmm. And now this is not a time to like bash Whitworth. We just want to talk about the makeup of our school for a second. Mm-hmm. For those of you who are listening who aren't already aware, or if you go here and aren't aware, we're about to enlighten you. Yeah. So yeah, there's where
should we start?
Where should we start? Yeah. The school itself is located in Spokane, Washington. Mm-hmm. As we said earlier, Spokane has a 89.5% white, is an 89.5% white school. And Whitworth itself is, I would say, a predominantly white school.
I would say historically white.
Yeah,
because,
there you go. Yes.
FYI, and as recent as 2010, Whitworth made it a priority to, make the school more diverse. And so it wasn't really until 2010 that was more of an initiative. So yeah, just keep,
Oh my God, we are getting our first caller. Hold on.
Wait, for real?
Yes, we are. Okay, hold on. We're gonna call you. Everyone, stay live. Yeah. Hold on. For everyone that's listening, we are having some difficulties figuring out how to use this phone, and also figuring out how to like actually get it so you can hear her. So until further notice, we're gonna say no calling until further notice. But thank you so much for calling, Karina. We are so sorry about that. That's one of the joys of working a radio, is that unfortunately there's all these buttons. There's all these buttons, and it's better when our guy is here and in the studio.
But to our defense, no one really taught us how to do that, really.
True.
So
we love you, Colin, but you gave us like 5 seconds of training. Okay. Hey, thank you so much for calling in. I'm so glad you guys are listening. If you're listening still, if you have been faithful up to this point, please remain faithful to the end.
It'll get better.
It will get better. So what we were talking about before the phone call was Whitworth.
Yeah.
And what were you saying before the phone call came in about Whitworth?
Actually, didn't say anything because the call came in.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking about the kind of like how like we see like things playing out at Whitworth, right?
Yeah, we're just talking about like what we see as Whitworth.
Okay. Well, anyway, so you walk on Whitworth. Just to say it straight up, Whitworth is very white, which isn't a bad thing. But when I say that with like kind of like historical undertones of what whiteness has done to our culture at large. It's kind of dominated other subcultures and has actually killed like some cultures in general, and has built itself up to be the dominant culture here. So you walk on campus, and in a historically white place like this in Spokane, you're gonna hear white things, about like whatever, like I don't know. Birkenstocks, Chacos, Frisbee, which isn't bad, but someone like me who came from a very urban environment and a very an environment with like a ton of cultures within itself. I come from an African culture as well as Black African American culture too. So me coming here and interacting with a space like this is challenging at times, and it's very apparent. A lot of people assume that you're kind of caught up with the stuff that then like this Whitworth culture. I'm not Whitworth culture. I'm my own person, and there's nothing like wrong with it, but it's not what I talk about a lot. It's not really like part of my identity.
Yeah, that sounds too like code switching as well. And this idea that you like have to give up part of yourself to fit in, just simply to fit in.
Yeah.
I'm looking at statistics right now for Whitworth University on collegefactual.com. And you know what? Anyone can call in at any point. Well, okay, don't call in, actually. I'm saying I'm going to finalize that. Yeah. Don't call in for the rest of the radio station. We appreciate our callers, but until we fix this phone issue, this is probably going to be a no-go for the rest of the show. But ethnic diversity at Whitworth University, it was at 74.1% white. That's interesting. And then there's also a statistic on faculty, and 89.9% of them are white.
Not surprising.
So let's just look at this for a second. When a non-white student is going into university and thinking like, man, these professors, these people that have all this knowledge, they're successful. And we're part of the minority in that group. And we're wondering like, how will we be part of that when that is also predominantly white?
Mm-hmm. And it also kind of makes you think, wait, so because these professors are different from me, will we connect at like the same level as another white student with those professors, or like, will I be treated the same, or will I be able to get like the same resources? That representation isn't there, and it kind of mentally does stuff to students who don't fit that.
Yeah, I mean, it changes like your mindset on school. You know, you're no longer a person who, when you look at your professor, sees someone that looks like you and talks like you and affirms all the things that you do. Yeah. You see someone that's different. And so you're probably asking yourself right now, like, what does it mean to, like, how do you feel then if you don't feel, if you feel different? What does that mean? Well, it means, I mean, there's a lot of, it's such an abstract thing too. Yeah. Like, we can't just name it.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird. It's like a feeling. It's done in like a lot of subtle ways. And so like the things that are subtle usually aren't really easy to explain since they're not as explicit as like some other things are, but they're still there. We'll try to explain that as best we can, but just know that we might not get like the correct definition since it's really hard to kind of explain.
I think like the thing is that because these things are so abstract, it's so harder to like name, and that's exactly what we're having struggles with. Is we're in a culture that's majority, so like everyone's talking about things that we haven't ever been growing up talking about. So when we start talking about these things, our friends want us to just tell us what's wrong, and the issue is that like there's more about it that's wrong than what we can just name immediately. Because it's such a struggle socially, academically. It's everywhere, So yeah, we don't want to beat around the bush, but we also don't want to like avoid the question. These areas of, I guess, these statistics alone, they just remind me that I am different, even as a half person. Like, even as someone who has a white mom and a white grandpa and a white grandma. Like, these things are important to me, but also my Mexican side is like not talked about. So yeah. Hey, if you're still listening to us, we are so thankful that you called. That you answered the call to listen. We hope that we are disrupting your hour with good music and good conversation. Like we said, I am so excited for this radio show to start. Like, it's happening. It's happening right now. Yep. But yeah, we are also gonna try to like get on top of it when it comes to getting this caller thing figured out. You guys should see it here. There's like wires everywhere and there's like buttons everywhere. But we are slowly learning. As always, we hope our audience is slowly learning too. We love you guys. Yo, if you have my number, text me. I'll play something that you guys want to play. Text Ike if you have his number. Text either one of us and we'll play any sort of song requests that you have for us. Hey, we love our listeners. We love you guys. And to show you we love you, we are going to play a song in a couple minutes. And we hope that you can sit back. Don't sick back. You don't want to get sick, although that's happening at Whitworth right now. Yes. I got a request for The Hustle just now.
Hustle.
Somebody wants me to play The Hustle. Yeah, do you know that song?
I mean, everyone knows that song. But
They're demanding
oh my
The
gosh,
Hustle.
I'm getting.
Are you getting
My phone's blowing up now.
Hey, we have listeners. This is awesome.
Still trying to
Yeah, I also really quickly before we go into that. First off, we love you guys for listening this far. And if you're still listening, we hope we're still educating you. There is this article that you guys need to read right now if you have time. Go online, go to vox.com and search "The Subtle Ways Colleges Discriminate Against Poor Students," explained with a cartoon. This is probably one of the most profound articles I've read in my college career, and it wasn't assigned to me.
Yeah. Brian Dennis actually shared that our article with me, like I think last month, and yeah, I agree with Dill. Like it's basically all the stuff I've been wanting to say but couldn't really say it. Like this article really like displays it and shows it well. It's really good.
Yeah. There is so much in this article that will help you understand where we're coming from. And it gives you statistics, it gives you facts, it gives you actually cartoons if you're a visual learner. And it'll show you, what it's like basically. And this stuff I would say doesn't just apply to poor college students. This stuff applies to first generation college students. This stuff applies to students of a minority group on campus. Sorry, minoritized. I need to get better at saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, if you're in the minority, don't call yourself someone that's in the minority. You are minoritized because
minority implies that you're like less than.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, this article is something that you guys need to read if you're at all interested about anything regarding the differences in culture in college, the differences that students of the minority face or minoritized students face, because this is history. This is part of our history, and the way that college is right now is not set up for student success who is coming from the minority. So if you want to get more information on that, please read this article, vox.com, Subtle Ways College Students Are Discriminating Against Poor Students. Sorry, the subtle ways colleges are discriminating against poor students. But this also happens peer-to-peer. And that's what's so important, is that these things happen peer-to-peer. Yeah. If you're listening and you're wondering, what is that cool music playing in the background? If you can hear it. We hope you can hear it. This band is called Tommpabeats. It's one guy. Like I said, this is why we have Ike and not me doing music or even touching music. Tommpabeats is one person. And this song is called 1-2 Step. You should listen to Tommpabeats. They're on Spotify. It's great. Just study music, background music. Let me tell you, by the time we end the show in all of its finality, I will have mastered so many different types of music. But yeah, that is what we're currently listening to in the background of our station today. Yep. Thank you so much for calling in, Karina. We love you. Thanks for listening.
Might have to play that second.
For now, that's all we got today, right, Ike?
I mean, that's pretty much it. We'll get into the cool stuff later,
We thank you so much for listening, for staying tuned. We are brought to you by Whitworth Pine Cones. They are firm and they fall, and they're here for you. We're also sponsored today by our great Tommpabeats, who's provided great music for our background. And seriously, though, thank you. Thank you to our listeners. We had a good group of listeners today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening in. We love you guys. The things we talk about, though, we don't want you to not stop talking about.
Yeah.
Keep talking about them.
Yep.
It's not bad to ask questions. Ask the right questions, though, and we'll get to that too. How to ask the right questions.
It's better to mess up in smaller circles than like on like national stages or even like more public places, you know.
Or even like presidential places.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you mess up like out there, people tend to be less forgiving, and better to mess up now in these spaces than, you know, just getting out there in like the real world and kind of messing up. So also feel free to share this station with people you know and all that. Dale and I want to get like as big a following as possible. And once we get like a big enough following, I think the plan was to give out prizes. So yeah, we'll get that hammered out later.
I'm not gonna say that I'm going to. Okay, here's the thing. If we get enough following, here's what we'll say. If we get 100 people to listen into this channel,
we'll see.
100 people though, that means you guys have to help us. We have to get the word out. We have advertised going up this week. We'll be doing some of our shows in Jan term. We'll definitely be doing our shows during spring term. If you're here, you can listen to us at this station. But here's the thing. We got to get 100 listeners, because if we get 100 listeners, we can start a podcast. And I don't think you realize how incredible that is. We're going to be starting a podcast.
That'd be great.
On iTunes if we get 100 listeners. So we need 100 listeners. We need people to listen in, give us your opinions, tell us what we could do better. Maybe don't tell us what we should talk about, because that's the whole reason why we started this show, was because we wanted to have a space to talk freely about what we have experienced at Whitworth. But definitely give us feedback, though. We'd love to know what you guys think about us. But if we get that 100 callers, I will also literally personally buy a gift card, and we will do based on callers. The 15th person to call in will receive a gift card. So yes, that's what we'll do once we get that 100 followers of people that listen in on us.
Yeah.
So far we had like we've had like 16 people listen in today. So you know what? That's better than, I'm going to be honest, that's better than most shows.
I mean,
just kidding. We love our last radio show. Yeah. Our last radio show was Hodgepodge with Megan. But we love all of our radio stations. We don't think we hope we have followers. We have gotten a few texts from people. So besides that, follow us on Facebook. I'm just kidding. We don't have a Facebook account. We're going to get one probably.
Hey, we got an international listener.
Oh.
Hey, there we go. That's dope.
Hey, we have an international listener. We need to give her a shout out. Our international listener is Rediot.
Hey, let's go Rediot. Thanks.
Rediot, you are incredible. Thanks for listening. Rediot, where are you listening from tonight? We'll give you a chance to respond.
We'll see.
But yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to share with you guys. Thanks for listening this far. Like I said, this is InDifference, the radio show, and we are live in the Whitworth.fm radio room. So hey, you know what? And me and Ike, we have shout outs for days. So if you text us or call us,
we will shout you
out by name. Not by location, unless you tell us where you're at. But hey, we have one international listener. That's awesome. Let's keep it going, guys. We can do this. And we also want to thank our international listeners. We want to thank our local listeners, our state listeners. We have people in Nampa listening to us, people in Portland, Oregon listening to us. Nampa, shout out to Megan Mansfield and Blake Mansfield. You guys are legit, and you guys are incredible. We are InDifference, and we are here to disrupt your hour, as always.
Yep.
And we hope that you listen. Our next episode, before we clock out, is on diversity, equity, inclusion, and what that means, and how to define each thing, because there's different definitions for both.
Yep.
And we can't just say diversity if that's not what we mean. So we're going to give better definitions to those. Talk about funding on campus. Where is funding going?
Yeah.
Is it going to these things? Is it going to Hendrick Hall? Is it going to the IC?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just want to talk about that. Yeah. We don't want to blame anyone. we just want to talk about it. Maybe get the conversation rolling.
Also, heads up for the next Whitworthy newspaper. I'm actually going to be writing.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm actually going to be writing our article about what Dill just talked about like where the money's really going to, because Whitworth is all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. But it kind of seems like a lot of that money isn't going to those things, at least on the surface. And so I'll be talking about that. So just be on the lookout for more things of note.
Yes. Also, guys, you guys should read some Ike stuff. He does great journalism. That dude is, read his stuff. I think they made him a columnist now.
Yeah, I'm a columnist now.
He's a columnist now. Thank you so much for listening. This is InDifference with Dylan
and Ike.